If you have ever made a major purchase upgrade to your home, kitchen, bath, basement, garage, deck, I bet you wish you had an advocate looking out for you. Stay tuned for this one. We're going to show you who can help you. Welcome everyone to Your Little Castle Show. Enjoy what we do here. You're always looking for those people who are going out of their way to make a difference, impact, to help other people. And I guess a little bit that comes from I was fortunate to have both my parents involved with education. And education is so key, but you want to find the right people that are connecting with others to make a difference. It may have a new take, a new strategy. And essentially, you've taken a strategy that's been around for a little while, but applied it into a new area where hasn't been used at all.
Not at all.
Started a new company to talk about it. So we're here with my new friend Pete. I'm going to put up there it is. Labath. He's the owner of FREEthR Home Advocacy Solutions. Compare bids, save money, breathe easy.
Yes, sir. Because
now you can take that stress off. And how often is it we end up with like a $30,000 bid in front of us and we're like, I think it's a good deal, and even if they had three people and one didn't show up and the other one didn't give the bid back.
Yes.
I've had that happen recently. We said, give us a bid for kitchens and remodeling, and they didn't even give it back to us.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? Tell me then what you enjoy about this, and tell me, first off, let's start off, what's the biggest mistake people make? And it might be, I'd say, to not consult with you first.
It may be. Maybe going forward, that'll be the answer. I'd say that it's feeling rushed is probably the biggest mistake. And sometimes you are. Like, I think sometimes, if God forbid, there's a big storm, a tree, a branch, something that affects you, and you are rushed, and you are very harried. And it feels like you have to make a decision right this second, and then on top of it, when you have a salesman leaning on you and adding to that pressure, it's not always going to work out to your benefit. Maybe we don't always have the opportunity to really slow things down and think about it, but as much as possible, that's what we're trying to do, is maybe slow things down just a little bit and give you a chance to breathe, give you a chance to maybe ask some trusted friends and family members to help you review some of these things. And if you have to make a decision right this second, maybe you end up making the right decision, maybe you don't, but we want to give you the best opportunity to review that information. We don't want a deluge. You don't need 700 bids, but a nice 3 to 5 proposals is going to give you a good cross-section of the local market, of what these actual costs are, what these real time frames are, so that you can make an informed decision. So the biggest mistake, to answer your question, is to rush, and that's relative. Sometimes we have to make decisions a little quicker, but where possible, we want to give you the opportunity to really make sure that you feel confident that when this is over with, that you're neither upset about the choice you made or even unsure and not confident. I mean, that's the worst place you can be.
Yeah, I mean, how often is it you're going to go into a $30,000 purchase, $50,000, $100,000? A guest on the other day, he's working on a job that's $100,000, and you say, "Hey, I give you 10 minutes to make your decision here." That's insane. And so, and then much less having anybody say, "Does anybody know about these guys? Does anybody work with these guys directly? Who can be an advocate for me to make sure that I'm getting the right feedback, the right information, and make the right decision?" And that's what you're doing for people.
That's what we're doing. That's our goal, is to make maybe that's the best way to look at it, is just so that you can have confidence that you have made the right decision, because you've reviewed that the proposals you looked at, you already know that at a minimum they're doing all the right things. Like that, as a minimum, they're making the right choices for their customers, that they're taking care of the people that they're working for at the end of the day. And when you look at, some of the rush decisions that people have to make, a lot of times that's going to be an insurance claim, an insurance process that we're going through. And so in those situations, I would still say to you, why would you want the contractor running that whole process? Why would you want them handling that? I want you to take back control of your insurance claim, of what you've got going on, and make sure that the people they're working for you. When you hire a contractor, you're not working for them. They're not doing you a favor, like they're working for you. And make sure that you've got someone that genuinely wants to help you get to the most for your claim.
Yeah, and that would seem to be a big mistake, is to rush any of this, and then also to not know who it is you're dealing with. And
Yeah.
so you're vetting these guys and making sure that you're getting somebody that's doing a good job. Residential and commercial, you can help on either side, and I guess a majority on one or the other, but something you can help with both.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, whether it's residential, commercial, whether it's a project that you just kind of want to do, or it's a project you absolutely have to do, it's an emergency, you know, for all these different groups, we can bring a lot of value to that, and that's by adding options, by making sure that you're not spending time meeting these people. A lot of people on the commercial side, you know, if you own multiple properties, whether they are residential or commercial properties, do you have the time to meet with dozens of contractors for each project to make sure that the guy you use is still giving you the best price? That's the goal. You know, we want to help people from all the different walks make sure that they feel comfortable and confident they're making the right choices.
Yeah, again, back to it, this is such an expensive investment, and you want to make sure, because this is your home too. This
Absolutely.
is usually the most valuable asset anyone owns in their lifetime. Why would you want to jump into something that you don't have a third party independent source to say, hey, I've worked with these guys, I know what they do, they've worked with a number of my clients, and they're going to do a good job for you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's that confidence. You know, we want you at the end of the day when you're sitting in your home, that you're not staring at the work they did wondering, like, did I pay twice as much as it should have for that? Did I, you know, I don't know, did I get robbed? I don't know, you know, and I don't want anybody to feel that when they're sitting in their home. I want them to feel confident that they made the best choice, that they got the most for their money.
Awesome. I would bet by now you've got a lot of people that have been very happy. Can you tell me a little bit about a time when you had somebody who was in a tough situation, you helped them to feel this out and maybe help them get through a process like this? This might be everybody you deal with, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost say that just about anyone. I think, you know, probably the best example would be, you know, a good friend of mine who was also in the Marine Corps, and he needed to get a roof done. He had just recently bought his home, and it wasn't required, but it was an older roof. It needed some work. It had a lot of square footage. And so when we talked, he said, well, I've got a guy, you know, I think he's going to do it. I'm just going to have him, you know, we've known each other for a while. And so, but he said, well, let me just see, you know, what we're looking at. And I want to go, you know, not too many details, but at the end of the day, you know, we were able to bring him some proposals that saved him about almost a third, you know, of what he was looking at. And not, you know, no disrespect to anyone, but at the end of the day, this was someone that was a friend of his. It was his guy. And we were able to say, hey, this is just, you know, this isn't like a friend price. This other contractors, this is their real everyday. This is what it's going to cost you. And so it was a great opportunity, you know, in a brand new house, you know, not brand new, but new to them, home, that they were able to save some of that money and put it towards other projects that he's got going on.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because a third is a big chunk of change.
That's yeah.
So
and it was not a small
That's a $5,000
area.
deal on a house, on a roof. If the average roof is around $15,000 and you're $5,000, that could be a few months worth of mortgage payments.
Yeah, it was even more than that. But
it was more than that.
Yeah, it was significant.
Yeah, well, those are the things we want to. Hey, that's what we try to bring the light to here with your little castle show, everybody. Tell me that as a business owner, somebody, give me a little bit of your background. Would you say tell me a time or example of some challenge you've been through that maybe that's even what led you here, but that in business we all have to deal with challenges as we run our businesses, but to help you to grow and become better.
So I'd say a couple things. I think, you know, I spent a number of years as a loan officer in the mortgage world, and so in dealing with different lead sources, you know, you end up, so there's maybe more on the contractor side, you know, focused on them, where, and even for the homeowners, you know, where they're selling your information to a lot of different people and you're getting just blown up as a homeowner. You're getting all these phone calls. As on the contractor side, you're doing the call and you're doing the hassling, and nobody really wants to do that. It's not good for anyone. You know, the homeowners start feeling rushed. They start feeling pressured and stressed, and they end up making choices that maybe they shouldn't. And I know for a fact a lot of contractors deal with that. And so that's one of the reasons, one of the ways that I got here was trying to help people avoid that, not have to deal with the phone calls and don't be that person that's blowing people up and interrupting their day.
Yeah, I guess how often is it the case that we have the now it's a spam call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's somebody calling us, and you don't know whether they're answered sometimes, or even worse than that, it won't say spam call, but it'll say 636
Yes.
or 314, and you're like, this could be business related.
Should
Should I take this call or not?
Yeah.
But we just don't want to waste our time, and there's so often that, gosh, we've had to deal with who it is we're dealing with, who's going to get through, and time is the most valuable asset that any of us have.
So much so. I mean, our home is generally going to be your single most valuable asset. It's you got your most, not only financially but emotionally, you're tied into your home. Like, I love my home. I spend a ton of time, effort, money, but time and effort on my home, and I want to feel good when I'm in there. I want to feel happy. I want to feel confident with the choices I've made. And so, to take that away by pressuring someone is terrible. And, we want to help people not feel that way. And again, kind of back to the commercial side, I recently spoke with a group of people, or with one guy who is a big part of a group for investors, real estate investors. And I said, hey, I'd like to talk with your guys. And so maybe just kind of back to the challenge, the challenges we faced, where we came to find out that they weren't as interested in, say, helping the vendor, the investors, as they were their vendors. And so they were not interested in bringing potential competition to their vendors, which I felt was unfortunate, because I feel like if you're going to be for the investors, for the people that are putting money into this community, like let's help them out as best we can.
Wow, there's a book that talks about it. It's got to be a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
And if anybody loses, then the whole deal is not good. And you don't want to have to ever put somebody in that kind of position. Yeah. Well, we all have many challenges and things that we have to endure on this little planet, but we want to keep highlighting the small business owners out there that are battling out there and doing the good work and setting themselves apart. And I just like the fact that you're supporting contractors that may not have those huge budgets to do all that expensive marketing, but they can get their feet wet, and you can make some good introductions to show people, some of those people who don't have that big spotlight on them but are doing a good job.
Yeah, to your point with the win-win-win, like, that's very important to me, to not only be focused on, because the goal is not to just bring the lowest possible price to the homeowner. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people learn along the way that the lowest price can end up costing you the most money, in the end, when you end up paying again to get it done, to get the work you paid for ripped out and replaced because you're no longer up to code or whatever the issue. That cheap, and so we want to save you from that. We want to make sure that even the lowest price we bring is still going to be a quality contractor, and we want to help the contractors that are good, local, insured, licensed, all these big things. We want to make sure that they're also getting the proper exposure, and they get an opportunity to help these homeowners achieve their goals, reach their dreams, and feel comfortable in their homes.
Well said. That's what we're looking for. We spent a little more time out in the community. We're going to share with you a military veteran that we interviewed, did a little chat with down at Busch Stadium after a Cardinal game recently. Talked to his son, and then we talked to him and had a little fun in the community. Check it out. All right, everybody. I've got Jackson now. I hired as my highly priced videographer. We didn't say highly paid. We said highly priced. Come on up here, Jackson. So this is your dad, right?
Yes, sir.
Kevin. A couple things I noticed about Kevin. Awesome jersey he's got on there, right? Another thing really cool. Veteran, everybody. Air Force. And
Army.
And the Army. Served in both.
Served in both.
Protecting us, keeping us safe.
Absolutely.
Help us maintain this little thing we like called freedom, where we can go to Cardinal games whenever we want
Whenever you want, walk downtown and have a good time and be safe.
Tell me what you love about when you served in the military, real quick. I'm going to ask you what you love about the Cardinals. Come on up here a little bit, though.
I actually work on military bases pretty much on a weekly basis, and so I love going to the military base and make sure that I do telecommunications, so I want to make sure that we provide the communications that's going to help them perform and do the things they need to do.
That's important.
That's what I want.
That's what I went for grad school thing for. Communications. If you can't communicate, nothing else matters.
I agree, 100%.
Thank you for your service there. What do you love about the Cardinals?
What do I love about the Cardinals? Well, the best team in the country. You know, they got more fans. It's the greatest thing to come see. I don't care. I've been to New York games. I've been everywhere, and the Cardinals are number one in my opinion.
There's people around the country. I just started off on this little Cardinal Cowboy thing. It's gotten crazy. I got people from around the country who are like, Cowboy, I saw you here. Lots of great fans out there that have a lot of fun.
They're everywhere.
And the best looking fans in baseball too, right here.
Oh, yeah.
Father and son, you can see it right
Absolutely.
there. You never see your son and Brendan Donovan in the same place at the same time.
That's funny because we've had a lot of people say that about him.
You got to get that bandana hat. All right, everybody. Cardinal Cowboy outside patios. Giddy up.
Boom.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up! So some of the fun stuff we get to do in the community, and Pete and I were talking a little bit. You went to high school with Mark Burley.
I did, yeah. I haven't talked with him a lot of years, but yeah, Mark was a great guy, and I'm really happy for all his success and all the things he's done. I mean, his entire family, they're all legitimately great people, so I'm very happy for him.
Well, Mark pitched for that, I believe it was, he was on a 2005 World Series championship team, right? The year before the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And Cliff Pleat, my buddy, I grew up with Cliff Pleat in the same neighborhood. Cliff and him were both on that team.
Okay.
Both of them kind of, hey, are they going to make it? Are they got it? Because I understand Burley he grew. I say a lot of guys don't grow
incredible, yeah.
right out of high school. Then they 2 more years, and so he went to Jeffco, and then the rest is history. And he and Cliff both played at Jeffco here, Jefferson Community College in St. Louis area too. So small world, you know.
It is. It's smaller every day, it seems.
Be nice to everybody. You never know who you're going to run into.
Right.
But the media has changed the way the world connects and how we do this stuff. So yours truly wrote the foreword for this book here called Magnetize Your Media. Right there, Carter Rethwich, a.k.a. the Cardinal Cowboy. That's my pen name, I guess they would say, right? And they put what I said in this. Carter, you essentially wrote the first chapter in the introduction. I said, well, this media stuff is really what has changed the world. So with that, tell me, you went out of the way to make a great-looking website. You got some guys that did a great job. That's a really good-looking website. We're going to talk about that in a minute here. We're going to show everybody how you get started. and a lot of that goes through the website to begin with. But how has technology changed? And kind of like you're kind of bringing some of that to maybe some of the vendors you represent. They don't understand all this, but you can help them to get connected to the potential prospects.
Yeah, so a lot of big change, I think, compared to prior to a lot of the technology we have is you can really speak to the roofing. At the end of the day, the roofing, the industry standard, the insurance companies are using third parties. They're using a lot of times the Eagle View, the roof scope, but I think Eagle View is more the standard. And so the actual need to stand up on the roof and do these measurements, and actually, a lot of times I feel like if a roof is being replaced, if the insurance company has already said we're going to replace the roof, the salesman getting up on the roof is not really necessary, I think, a lot of times. Like, the reality is they're going to end up using technology. And so trying to bring that little bit of education to the consumer and say, like, this is a sales technique to get close with you, to kind of help make you feel like they've spent a lot of time. The fact is, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the Eagle Views. We're going to get the measurements, all the scope, just the full scope. We're going to have all the exact same information that any contractor would use, that any insurance company would use, and give them an opportunity without taking up a bunch of your time and making you feel obligated in any kind of way.
Well, it's important. Yeah, I know a lot of those resources are available out there, but people don't even know where to begin with. When
Yeah.
you say Eagle View, I know I've had a bunch of roofing guys, and they've talked about that. But you're helping to facilitate and make sure, interpret that, and show them these resources so that people go, Eagle View, what is that?
Right.
And now they can tell whether their roof has really got the kind of damage we're talking about.
Well, and I think importantly, when at FREEthR, when we're providing that information to all the contractors, when we say this, number 1 Happy Street, this is the Eagle View, this is the information you need. As a homeowner, they're all making their proposals based off the same information. We're all apples to apples, so there's nobody like, oh, well, we're doing something extra. No, you're not. Like, it's all going to be the same. You can look at it and see, like, if there's something different, it's going to be clearly called out in their proposal that they're offering a different shingle, they're offering a different material, they're offering different gutters. You can see that without someone leaning on you and telling you that they're going to save you 5% today,
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the technology out there has made that. And back then, too, like you said, how do they compare? And it should all be pretty much the same. They're all going to go through a similar grade shingle. They're going to go through a similar repair process. The crews often are shared between the different
Yes.
roofing companies. And so make sure that somebody doesn't come and say, oh, by the way, don't ask any questions, and I won't tell you any lies.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite quotes from a song. But literally, as a homeowner who's been, maybe doesn't do this all the time, obviously they're not getting their roof replaced every 6 weeks. They don't know how to deal with this, but you're making sure all of those technology pieces fit together and make sure they're getting what they need.
Absolutely. It's giving them that confidence, that comfort, that nobody's selling you something that you don't need, that somebody's not, adding words that don't matter. Like, at the end of the day, if everybody's working off the same scope with the same amount of information, offering the same grade of shingles, the same products, whatever you're working on, then you can look at these things and really decide what's most important to you, the materials, the time, or the cost.
All of those are obviously very important when you're talking about a roof. Well, walk me through the process. Somebody wants to get started with you. How do they contact you to get started?
Yeah, so we absolutely, we've got, as you mentioned, we have the website, which is probably the best way to kind of put in your initial bit of information. And you just let us know, what is the project, what is it that you're working on, and how can we help? I'll reach, generally speaking, myself, I'll reach out to you, we'll talk and find out what you're doing, how we can help, when we can come out. We've also got a Facebook page. By all means, please check us out there. We've got several videos kind of walk through and explain different pieces of it. And as always, if there's any kind of questions, you're always free to give me a call, and I'll be happy to talk with anyone about how we can help.
Well, that's important, and I can tell that obviously you have a heart for this and trying to make sure that people are getting the proper information to make sure that they are making an educated decision. Because literally, we've seen the bids on these things. They're $30,000, $50,000, and if you don't make the right selection, you could be in a lot of trouble. We've heard the horror story where people took that money and then disappeared.
Well, I think
You keep that from happening.
Yeah, I think, beyond even the giant, 30, 50, 60, even, $100,000 bids, depending on the type of work and the scope of it. Even for, our homeowners looking for maybe some basement waterproofing, if you get hit with even a $10,000 or $12,000 bill that you weren't prepared for, that can really affect you, and today, when your groceries, when every bill is through the roof, and you're spending a lot more of your money, even these $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 surprises can really cause some problems and throw a wrench in the works. And so if we can, even some of those people, if we can help you find out that maybe it doesn't have to be $10,000, maybe you can get at least as much work done for $7,000 or $8,000, $5,000, those are real savings that you can use that are going to help people survive this economy.
Yeah, big decisions that you don't want to waste. I recently, you brought to light, I'm thinking about recently, we had the electrical, we have an Airbnb, and the electrical power to the house just pulled off the side of the house. And all of a sudden we're in the middle of a whole mess to get that done. But fortunate, in my case, we've had 7 or 8 electrical contractors on here that I got to know and vet. But not everybody has that kind of resource,
Right.
and doesn't sit down with them for an hour in a studio and get to know them. We made a quick call. They hurried over and took care of it. But those are the kind of relationships that we all wish everybody had
Right.
to make these things happen. Well, tell me, what is it that what is the biggest question that somebody might have for you before they get started? They say, "Well, I'm interested in this, but what's the question they have?"
I think probably the most consistent question I've been asked is, can you help with this? Do you have someone that does this in my area? And I would say my answer is always, even if we don't, I'm going to do the legwork. Like that's my role, that's my job. No matter where you're at, if you're slightly outside the range, if you're doing something, wild that for some reason I don't have a couple guys that do it, I'm going to go get them. I'm going to go talk to multiple companies. I'm going to have them, everyone on every vendor that we work with, I have their copy of the certificate of insurance. Like, I know, I have vetted, I am sure of it. And so while I might not have someone today in that moment, I'm going to do all the work for you. I'm going to talk to several companies. I'm going to get copies of their insurance. If we're doing, like I said, electrical and plumbing, we're going to see the licensing, and we're going to know that when I present you those bids, it might not be as quickly as a situation where I already have guys, but when I bring you those proposals, you're going to be confident that at a minimum they have all the things that you would want a contractor to have.
Important stuff for a lot of people that when you're getting into this kind of this realm where you're going to be spending thousands of dollars, you want to make sure. We've had electrical jobs, we've had roofing jobs, and every time you're going, man, am I getting taken? Is this going to come out the way I would like it to? As we finish up here, thanks for staying tuned. Get a hold of Pete. FREEthR, Home Advocacy Solutions. They will take care of you. Check out that website. Lots of great information he's got out there, and they will take care of you guys like that anybody would want to be. And he's got great resources available for everybody to make sure that when it comes down to it, they're going to get taken care of.
Thank you, sir.
All right, giddy up.